Hi everybody, welcome to Scuba Diving Magazine. Our website is down here that you can visit later, and remember to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't already. If you do have a scuba diving question or a topic that you would like to discuss, then type it down in the comments section under this video and use the #AskMark hashtag to get it featured in an up and coming video. I do my best to answer any question that's asked on the in the comment section, but the ones with the hashtag do get preferential treatment. I'm not going to lie about that. This week I'm answering questions from Strigon46 about where to clip a dSMB and a spool. And they say, "Dear Mark, where's the best place to clip a dSMB with spool? Is it wrong to clip it on a D-ring on your weight belt? Thanks a lot for your service." You can clip your dSMB and your spool wherever you like, as long as it works for you. Personally, I wouldn't clip anything to a weight belt that I don't mind losing. I'm not entirely sure whether you meant weight belt or whether it's like autocorrect from waist belt. But believe me, there are some weight belts out there that do have D-rings. I do not know why weight belts have D-rings, because anything that you clip onto it, or anything that I clip onto a weight belt, I'm assuming I'm going to lose. Because if something happens and I need to attain positive buoyancy, I'm not going to faff around trying to disconnect anything valuable that I clipped off onto it, secure it somewhere else, and then take my weight belt off. I'm just going to take my weight belt off and it's gone. For like hanging it up, you just turn it into a loop. So I'm not entirely sure why some weight belts do happen. It tends to be the ones with pockets. They sometimes have D-rings on it. I don't really know why, to be honest. But a spool, a lot of people kind of just clip them off to their right hand hip. It's just out of the way, but it's still convenient to reach. Typically I put it in my left hand thigh pocket, just because I always dive with thigh pockets nowadays. If you don't have thigh pockets, yeah, any kind of D-ring, but I wouldn't attach it onto a weight belt just in case you have to ditch it. If you dive a backplate and wing setup and you have a crotch strap, there's usually a D-ring just in the small of your back. We call it a butt D-ring because it's pretty much on your butt. That's quite a convenient place, because even though it sits on your butt, when you're finning, you don't really notice it, to be honest, and it's out of the way. It's somewhere that most divers can reach quite easily with either hand, and yeah, you have a convenient D-ring there. If you've got an X-deep backplate like the Zen, then you actually have 2 D-rings, so you can pick and choose whichever is the most convenient for you. But yeah, for me personally, I put it in my left hand thigh pocket. I just find that quite convenient. My backup mask is in my right, so it's a bit easier to reach. But if I don't have thigh pockets, then the butt D-ring is where I'd automatically put it. If you don't have a butt D-ring, then I'd probably put it on my left hand D-ring, to be honest. Or the one on my left hip. It all depends on the BCD that you're diving on, and like the size of the dSMB and all that kind of stuff, because this is a relatively compact like travel dSMB and spool. They do get a lot larger. You kind of could clip it off, but I'd want to like strap it down, because when you're in the water and you're horizontal, that's going to be like downwards and dangling, which is a bit annoying. But yeah, whatever works for you, basically. Personally, I like to put them in pockets because it's a bit more streamlined. There's less to go wrong and like get tangled up in something. And also, when you're dealing with a spool, always remember to try and clip it off like this. How this works is, if I redo it from scratch, is you have your leader, which is the yellow section on this, which is the loop basically, and then you come up to the end. You'll notice that I've tied a little knot in it about 1/3 of the way up the leader. That's just to make my life a little bit easier. As soon as you get down to that knot, poke it through one of the holes, and then you have all of this leader loop, clip onto that, and then wrap it around over that trigger, around, and then just back through the gate. That kind of locks it off, because if you just attach onto the spool itself, it's very easy, especially if it's like dangling, for it to accidentally get bumped and it's free, even though you haven't done it. Even if you do it the other way around, it still undoes. So it's not good practice to attach directly onto the spool itself and then clip it to a D-ring, because it's not unusual for it to just accidentally undo, and it's relatively easy. Whereas if it is attached onto the line and then locked, it can jingle, jangle, and dangle all to its heart content, and that's not going to come off easily. The other end, maybe, but yeah, there's less chances of it falling off. And your dSMB, you can stow that somewhere separately with a second bolt snap, or whatever works for you and is convenient, as long as you've got enough like dexterity to organize it all, just to have that clipped off. But yeah, typically mine's in a pocket. That's my like highest, not priority, like preference. If it can fit in a pocket, it goes in a pocket, so it's more streamlined. If it's not in there, then it's on a butt D-ring, so it's still streamlined, it's out of the way, but I can still reach it really conveniently with both hands. And failing that, it's kind of on a D-ring on my left hand side, only because I don't have a D-ring on my right hand side. But I wouldn't attach it to a weight belt unless I was willing to lose it. Yeah, it's weird. My first weight belt, it was an Oceanic, I think they just called it a deluxe weight belt, and it had pockets all the way around it. And I started off, I had lead shot weights, which kind of sound nice at the beginning, but they're a bit of a pain long term, because the lead shot, it's nice because it molds around your hips and it doesn't dig in any places into your soft squishy bits, but it takes forever to dry. And yeah, they're just lead shot pouches. They're really useful for other things. I tend to use them more in like DIY to like hold things down nowadays than I do for scuba diving, just because after you get out, they're still just soaking with water. And whereas a lead block, you take it out and it's pretty dry. Whereas with lead shot, you take it out, you throw it in the boot or whatever, and it's still just seeping water out for days. So no, I'm not a fan of lead shot. But yeah, those padded weight belts, I don't know where it is. I wonder if I binned it. Yeah, it had big plastic, granted, D-rings on it, and never really thought about it. And I mentioned it to, I think it was one of the assistant instructors that was working at the dive center. He's like, why does this have a D-ring on it? And you can see his like cogs turning, and he's just like, I don't know, Mark. It's just, why would you put a D-ring on a weight belt, and especially a D-ring, because they're not load bearing. So it's not as if you'd load up the weight belt and then clip it off to hang it up or something, because that's just going to put strain on that D-ring. In the water, I wouldn't really want to clip anything off onto it, because yeah, if you need to ditch it, everything's gone. So no, I'd fit it to something that's attached to my harness that's less likely to come off. Hopefully that all made sense and answered your question. Yeah, if you don't have thigh pockets, they're definitely worth investing in. They are a nice investment, thigh pockets, whether it just wear them by themselves over a wetsuit, or your dry suit typically has thigh pockets because they're a bit more convenient, or if you can reach them, the BCD pockets. I'm not a fan of BCD pockets because I find they're a little bit too high up, but I tend to put stuff in pockets if possible, so it's a bit more streamlined. Any other questions? Pop them down in the comment section underneath this video. Remember to use that AskMark hashtag. It will get yourself and your question featured in an up and coming video. Otherwise, remember to head over to our website, scubadivingmag.com. Check out our magazine, everything that we do. Thank you for watching, everybody, and of course, safe diving.